Hey, Juana.
Morning.
I've been sick this whole week. My ears are like plugged.
Oh my God.
Yeah, every time
I
someone talks to me, it's like
like
and
that's
this
what
one I can't like hear out of like this one. This one I can. So it's like all weird. So if I talk kind of loud, like I'm
yeah, I can
sorry.
imagine. That's why I was like, no, no, you're good. Don't
Okay,
even worry about it.
I was thinking we could do talk about the book club and then talk about our the finishing up our like grant proposal since that's due today too. And we're
Mhm.
almost done with it anyways. Okay.
Okay.
How are your finals coming
Do
up?
we
Do you
have
have
to
a
do
lot to take? Oh, what happened?
uh wait, do we have to do like a paper or is it just mostly like the writing that we have to finish?
For the grant proposal?
Yeah.
We just have to finish. I think here, let me look at it. I think we need the activities and then
Hmm.
the sustainability and then the budget and then we turn it in.
Okay.
So I think if you want, um, you can do the activities part and then I'll do the sustainability and the budget since it's less words, since your paragraph will be a little bigger.
Okay.
And then I'll do E and the last part. Um,
Hmm.
and then what's it called? And then we can turn to that in.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and then for the book, I think we're at the end. So I have
Hmm.
the questions and stuff, so we can just talk about it. Um,
Okay.
so what did you think about the epilogue?
Uh I was sorry. What was your sorry, I'm over here really looking at something else. What was it?
Oh no,
Sorry.
you're okay. So the first one's about the epilogue. So I think it says, or actually, let's start with the questions that's on there. So it says, how does the writing make you feel?
I feel like the writing made me feel, I feel like in a way connected to them.
Hmm.
I feel like it's able to show you like both ways of how things were back then and how most of the people would stay quiet and just let it be. But I feel like if it wasn't for him, for her dad, I feel like things wouldn't have changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I said the writing I thought was like emotional. It made me think of how unfair the experiences were of for both of the girls. But
Hmm.
also how like inspiring their family's like determination was because I said I saw that a lot as like my family too. Because
Yeah.
I know like, if my family wouldn't have came like over here, I wouldn't be here. And that's like, their determination. Um and along with that, I said the epilogue made me feel like there was like still hope. And even though that there is like painful history, that it could still help like future generations. Because even
Hmm.
now, like we're still learning from like the past and stuff, and we don't want to like redo those things that happened. But
Yeah.
they did happen for a reason. So that's why I think I saw somewhere that they were saying that they wanted to take away like the part of white supremacy from like history books and stuff like that. And that like made me kind of angry because I was like, people need to know that like that's part of history. Like, if like we shouldn't be afraid of
Yeah.
that's how it once was. And I think it was like, oh, they wanted to take away white supremacy because it made, white people not, it made them look bad or something like that. But I was like, it is true what, what they did to like people of color. So like slavery, like all that's real. So I think it said something that
Hmm.
they wanted to take away like slavery from the history books. But I was like, that was such a big part of like our history that people need to know so that it doesn't happen again. So I kind of felt like that in the book. So it was like even though it was painful, it can help other like future generations and shows that it's not always going to be like that.
Yeah.
Um, the next one says, "Do you identify with any of the characters?"
I feel like in a way, yes, just because with everything that was going on, you're able to see that in most I feel like coming in like in a Hispanic culture, I feel like it's more like there's certain areas where a lot of parents don't want to speak out just so they won't get in trouble, just because
Yeah.
they're scared of getting in trouble or causing any type of like chaos that can affect them in the family. So most of the times I feel like they stay quiet.
Hmm.
so I feel like I can relate. Oh my God, what was her name? Is it Sylvia?
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm able to relate with her just because I feel like if it wasn't for her dad, um, and the way that her mom supported her too, like the mom was there to like, calm her emotions and stuff like that. I feel like it makes a big impact of like mostly connecting to a lot of Hispanic cultures.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said I identified with like different like like both of the characters but like different like of their aspects, I guess. Like
Mhm.
I said I connected with how Sylvia was frustrated with being judged unfairly. Because
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, I don't know why, like, people think that of me, and it's like, it like makes you angry. And like for me,
Yeah.
it made me angry for her, or like even seeing since I'm from like a small, like conservative town, like I would see people like treat my dad and my mom for not speaking English, and that would
Mhm.
make me angry on their behalf because I'm like, that's like not their fault. Like if they wanted to, like, they obviously would be speaking to you in English if they could, but they can't.
Yeah.
Um, and then I said I related to Aki's like her quiet strength and how she doesn't always like speak out.
Mhm.
She's like observant because my parents would always tell me like if something like no te parece, like just stay quiet. Like,
Mhm.
don't say anything, just stay quiet and like you know how you feel and you're like the truth or whatever. So I
Yeah.
kind of feel like she was kind of like that and I feel like even though like you're quiet and you're observant, it's still kind of powerful. Because I
Mhm.
feel like even in the kids that I'm watching, sometimes in like my classrooms and stuff, like those quiet ones are always like the observant ones. And
Yeah.
and they're the ones that are like watching. And sometimes I'll even see like if they see like one of their like classmates acting out, like they'll like their eyes will widen and they'll know like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. Like they're always like the
Yeah.
observant ones.
I feel like it's more like they're able to see like the difference. I
Mm.
like what did my mom say? Because I like how they say, oh, and when a Hispanic cultures are like que gusta ser callada para después tirar las cartas en la mesa, huh? Or
Yeah.
something like that. And I used to tell them, no, I just if they it's kind of hard because I'm like if I don't have nothing to say or if I know I'm not say something mean, I just rather not say it at all.
Yeah.
And I just rather stay quiet than me to like jeopardize like a person's emotions or
Yeah.
jeopardize like a friendship. I just rather stay quiet and be like, oh, pues, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that sometimes, oh my gosh, it sometimes makes me so mad because I'm like, you have to be the bigger person, but then there's other people who
Mhm.
just, like they'll just say it like for like whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, one of my biggest like pet peeves, I've always told everyone,
Mhm.
is like when people purposely make other people look stupid.
Mhm.
Like, because growing up, I knew a lot of people like that. Like they say they knew like their friend, I don't know, couldn't do something and they would like purposely put them on the spot. And I always hated that. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, just don't say anything. But it's
Mhm.
like that would frustrate me because I'm like, I know what I need to do. I'm like, but like clearly other people, either
Yeah.
they actually don't, or they just want to be like malicious.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so
Like
sad to see.
yeah, because I told my mom I was like um
Excuse me.
where I currently work at I was talking to the new I think it was like the new owner of
Hmm.
the place where I work at, and there's a guy that works with them, but he's like whatever it's like like an assistant, so
Hmm.
he's an assistant and me and his boss were talking about like we just got off a topic. We were talking about what is it, lobster mac and cheese,
Uh,
and I had my hand on like on top of like a table,
hmm.
and he like squeezed my hand for me to be quiet, and I was like, what the heck, he's acting like if I want his job. Like no, like I don't want your job. I'm like it was just like a we were just like
Yeah, like
people that
conversation.
yeah, and I'm like and the way he thinks, it was like he's probably thinking that I want his job, but I don't.
And for him to like shut you up, that is so rude.
That's what I
Oh
was
my
telling him.
gosh.
I was telling him, I was like, that is so rude. I was like, I wasn't even saying anything. We were talking about mac and cheese.
Yeah, that's
I
so
was
rude.
I was like, why is he so like for me? I'm like, I don't want that. I said, I'm just working to in my school, but for you to
Yeah.
like the way like in my head, I was like, the way that you think like I want your job is just so like in my mindset. I'm like, what type of mindset do you have for me to you to think like I want your job? It was just a
Yeah.
conversation, like
Those are the
And then,
type of people that think people are like out to get them. Because
yeah,
sometimes I will like I think I'm like a nice person. Like I'll volunteer for things like at my
yeah.
school. Like we had a parade. We have like a Santa Lucia parade, which is like a Christmas
Mhm.
parade every year. And I volunteered to help with like the whole float because no one ever wants to do that. So I'm like getting all our kids ready and stuff like that. And it's always like people think it's like, oh, they have another intention of doing it. Like there's a reason why
Yeah.
she's volunteering to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm just like trying to be a nice person and help someone out.
That's not like I don't get it. I'm like, because in the story, you know how she was trying her best and how the dad was trying to like I see it like her brother was going out to war too. I feel like I was able to relate the story to like
Hmm.
my life. And I told mom, I was like, the way he grabbed me, like he squeezed me. He went like this. He said, and I was like, I looked at him and I was like, what the heck? And I was
Yeah,
like,
no, that's not
like
okay.
I was telling him, like, he was just practically telling me to shut up. Did I shut
Yeah.
up? I didn't. But I was like, why would you do that? Like, I don't want your job. Because I'm by myself in a little office
Hmm.
and I don't get to talk to anybody. So when I get to talk to somebody, I'm like, oh, no me para la
Yeah, like
boca, right?
it's different. Yeah.
So the new owner we were just talking. I was like, and he got mad. And I was like, I do not want your job. I said, I'm okay by myself in my little office and what I
Yeah.
want. Why would I
That's
want?
that's so bad. That's so rude.
Hmm.
I would have been so mad.
I stayed quiet. I got off and I told my grandpa, I was like, why would, in my head, I told my grandpa, I was like, why would he do that? Like, in my head, I was like, why would they do something like that if I know that I'm not gonna like, yo no tengo por
Yeah.
venir, ¿no?
Yeah.
And I was telling my grandpa was upset and my mom, and I was like, it's just the way that people think. I am
Yeah.
so sorry. She's crying in the back.
No,
She's
you're
like,
okay.
open the door.
Okay. Our third question, what did you like slash not like about the book? Do you want me?
I
I can start if you want, if you
Yeah.
I know you've started. I said some things that I didn't like, but obviously they had to be in the book. I felt that at times it felt kind of heavy. But that's also because, the injustices that they were going through are painful and they did happen and they're real. So I was like, it's not that I didn't like it that it was in the book, it was just was kind of like sad. And oh, I said I wish there was more scenes of Sylvia and Aki, but like later in life. So like
Oh,
after, all this happened, maybe like in like another extended epilogue. I said I would have liked that. I did like how I said how honest the author explained like historical injustices. Because sometimes, like especially if say like I'm Mexican, say there's something that makes Mexicans look bad, like, some people would not want to put that in or like, not want to write on it because it makes them look bad. But instead, like, the right thing to do is like, hey, regardless of what your position is or whatever it is, like, you still write about it, you tell the truth. So I said I liked how they kept it honest. I liked the epilogue and how it tied like historical change, I really liked. And then the friendship of the girls I thought was just like throughout the book, I thought that was like a nice, like uplifting moment, even though they were going through like challenges and they were different. But at the same time they like bonded over those challenges kind of. Yeah, that's what I have.
I I feel like I like the whole. I think like some of the writing was like a little bit too. For me, it was just too. How can I explain it? That you're able to see a lot more. Like I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm like trying to explain it in a way.
No, you're good.
Um, sorry, it's just that she's crying because she wants me to the door. Um, um, I feel like the writing where I guess like I think that the assistant from the office was like telling them that they were dirty and stuff like that.
Mm,
I feel like for me that was like very emotional. Like it got me really upset. But besides that, I feel like I really like the story. I wish there was another part. You know how they later like later on they like connected back again and
yeah.
they're still friends. I wish there was like another book explaining how their new life started and how they grew, how things started changing for them, and that way, like
Yeah.
another extra chapter.
Yeah. No, maybe like yeah, maybe if they wrote like a part two or something else like that, yeah, I think that would have. I actually really like the book. Sometimes when I see like older books like that, I'm like, I don't want to read it. But I think because I mean, we talked about it, how we connected to it. Um, Question four says, can you make any connections to the readings from like other parts in your life? I connected it to, so in high school I took AP Gov, so that's like we learned a lot about different like Supreme Court cases and stuff. And the one I would always refer to and like remembered was Brown versus the Board of Education. Um, and that was also in the book. I think I remember that was or something
Mhm.
like that, or like a court case or how
Yeah,
they were doing that. So I connected it to that, and then I think I said last time I connected it to the Esperanza Rising book. And then to my own life, I said some ideas of wanting fairness in school and equal treatment is something almost everyone can relate to.
yeah.
You know, sometimes it's like a teacher may like pick favorites or something like that. And like as a parent, you know, you want the teacher to, you know, treat them all the same. And then I said, families often sacrifice children's opportunities, and that reminded me of how like my parents had to, or families, sorry, families often sacrifice for their children to have opportunities. And then
Mhm.
so that reminded me how my parents sacrificed like their entire life in Mexico and, you know, left everything behind just for us to have like even a chance at something better. Um,
Yeah.
and even like just to go to like school because like my mom my dad never set foot in a classroom because they didn't have money for it. My mom like dropped out in like fifth grade because they also didn't have money. So I'm like even seeing us like graduate like high school, like my parents thought, you know, was like an achievement. So I said that like, you know, a lot of families do have to sacrifice a lot, and sometimes it's not even that.
Yeah.
It could be, you know, like money, like, you know, they're gonna be like, okay, we're not gonna, you know, do this so that we can put food on the table, or so that our kids can have, you know, do that extracurricular they wanted to do or
Mhm.
something like that.
I feel like I can agree with you. I feel like most like with everything, I feel like a lot of like the way that you see it, I see it as well. Just
Hmm.
because I know your parents sacrifice so much
Hmm.
that now you're older, you see it.
Yeah.
Um, my mom used to tell me, she'll be like, when you have your own kids, you're undergonna a
Yeah.
lot of,
My
and
mom always would say that.
I'll be like, yeah, 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 and I was like, see, 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 and then now that I do have my own kid, I see things very differently. I,
Hmm.
like, I started to see my mom's point of view and how she would get stressed out and certain things. So now that I'm a mom, I'm like, yeah, now I see it. Like I know how you used to feel,
Yeah.
and I young, you're like, sí, 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 como no, yeah, yeah, and you like
Yeah.
throw it. But now I'm like, now that I see it, I'm like, oh, pues sí, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I just like now that I'm able to understand more. I feel like now that I look back, I'm like, man, why was I like that? Like, man, a veces like I'll remember things and I'll be like, damn, I was grosera.
No, yeah, I'll think like when I was little, I remember I'd always be like why can't I like, you know, I would see kids like in their uniforms and stuff like
Uh,
for the soccer teams or stuff like that they would play like the town stuff. And I'd be like,
yeah,
I want to do that. And my parents would be like, oh, that's like a lot of money. Like, you know, we can't afford that. And I would always get mad because I'm like, why can't I do that? Like everyone else is doing it. Or like even
ah,
like those little float things that we just put on. Each school in our town has a float. And it's basically like a semi truck, and
mhm.
each school like decorates it, and it's like a competition, and I'd always want to be on it, but my parents were like, "Oh, like we don't know how to get you on it. Like, you know, like we don't know who we
Yeah,
have to talk to." And I'd always be so mad. I'm like, "That's not like I was like I want to be on it and they're not doing anything." And now I think about it, I was like it was just that they didn't like it wasn't that they didn't want me to be on it, but it was they didn't know how. You know, they didn't
and
like know who to ask.
I feel like in a lot of Hispanics, it's always like that. That I feel like when people they don't know who to ask or where to go to or what
Mhm.
questions to ask and stuff like that. Um, I feel like now that I see things differently, I'm able to explain it to my mom. Um, I feel like you know how you mentioned like you wanted to be on the float, and I used to tell my mom, "Mama, yo quiero esto," and then she was
Yeah.
like, "But I don't know." Like I don't know. and things like that. And I was like, well, try to figure it out. I used to tell her, and she didn't know like what steps to take or who to ask.
Yeah.
I feel like that was, in my head, I feel like the school system should have more, I feel like more like awareness and more like communication with the parents, and my like the way that I see it.
Yeah.
I feel like to be parents aware, like, if here's the number for this, or here's the steps you need to take to do this and that. I feel like that will really help out a lot of parents to be more like, involved in schools and be able to help out, like, for the kids not to feel left out. And
Mhm.
that's how I see it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Or
Just
even
because,
if it's like a simple like translation, like if they send something out in
yeah,
English or something like that, like if you have kids who their parents speak Spanish or their parents speak Hmong or another like language, like even if you just put a translation of it, like I feel
yeah,
like that's even like you're at least you're trying.
yeah, because I feel like when I go to the schools, I see a lot of parents that are not like, I also see that a lot of kids come from, like, broken families, or they're in
Hmm.
the STEM, or they've been through a lot of stuff. But I feel like making teachers, I know that teachers do so much, but having teachers pass out flyers or have them be like, oh, this is what's going on, or like a
Hmm.
social event where you can meet like the at least like who's ever taking care of the kid. I feel you're able to build trust, just because I feel like, some people are like, oh, well, I'm gonna send my kid to school and that's it.
Yeah,
And then they don't even bother to go to like open house, or I think,
like
do they still
show
do
up.
like meet your teachers or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would really make a difference on the kids' development as well.
No, yeah, I
Pero
100% agree.
uh,
But
I was
that's a
like,
perfect world, and we don't live in
yeah,
that.
yeah. That's why when I used to work at the place that I used to work at, I used to always make sure that before I leave, I used to tell the parents, please, please, please make them participate, because they're little, and I
Yeah.
know they participate, and like just bring them like a basic shirt, or if you want us, we have like donations.
Hmm.
And oh, if you have extra clothes, just please donate it, like, because there's kids that really don't have any,
Hmm.
and you just please donate it, like whatever you have, like,
Yeah.
because,
You just want them to be involved.
yeah, just
Yeah.
because I feel like their imagination is so everywhere, and I feel like anything will make them happy.
Yeah.
So I used to always make sure to like pass out flyers, and then make sure that at least, like, if the parents weren't able to show up, at least I would be able to show up, or I
Yeah.
will ask them. I know some parents don't. Well, my parents just have me, but I know some parents don't ask their kids like, "Oh, how was your day at school?" or "Cómo te
Hmm.
fue doing?" And I don't, and I'm aware that some kids don't have that.
Hmm.
So go around, and I used to ask the kids. I'd be like, "Oh, how you doing? How you been?" And then like we'll sacar like plática,
Hmm.
and then we'll sit down, like a whole bunch of kids will sit down, and we'll be chismeando.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, just because I like the chisme.
I
And
feel
then
like
some,
though, us seeing all those things and like how we grew up and stuff, it's gonna help us like when we have a classroom of our own. Like
uh,
now I know like what changes to make because I know like we have the ability to speak Spanish and talk to those family. Because
yeah,
like in our town, it used to be like when I was a kid growing up, it was like everyone, it was all English. Like me and like one other person were the only ones that spoke Spanish. And now I look at our classrooms, and it's like now it's like almost all of our kids are
speaks,
not like white, they're like Hispanic. So I'm like imagine the difference and the change it's gonna make if it's like, okay, like a parent comes to a parent teacher conference and
yeah,
instead of there being a translator, like, the teacher can actually like, we can walk them through everything about their like, their child's education and stuff. Instead of there being a translator, like the teacher can do it. So I always think about that. I'm like, maybe all the stuff we've gone through and all like how school is now, I was like, that'll help us how we want to make our classroom,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah. I feel like it'll make a big difference. I feel like with everything going now on, I feel like it will make a difference on how people, like how the kids see the teachers as well.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll grow up like a bigger bond, just
Hmm.
because I know that who did I when I went to go sub for my old high school.
Hmm.
I went to go sub and one of the teachers like, what are you doing here? Because I used to be in her photo class. And I
Hmm.
was like, here to sub. And she was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like I saw that she was already like tired, like she
Yeah,
was
like
already.
burnt out.
And I was like, yeah, I thought, and yo también, I was like, I thought you retired already. And they're like, no, I guess like they were doing this thing where like, if she does more years, they'll give her more, like, I don't know, some benefits or something. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, nice. But you can see que ya no le, like, she wouldn't care. Like, it was just like,
Yeah, her heart wasn't in it anymore.
no, I feel like she was already tired at that point. I was like, and I used to see it like when I used to go sub.
Yeah.
I used to look at it, I was like, yo no quiero llegar así.
Yeah. No, yeah. I always tell myself, I'm like, if the day comes and I'm like dreading going to work, I was like, then like I need to figure something else out because I'm like, the kids are gonna, they're the ones that are gonna be affected by
Yeah,
it. Because I was like, I know I had those teachers who like I clearly could tell that they were just there to be there, not because they wanted to. So I was like,
yeah.
I cannot be like that. Okay,
Mhm.
our final, so these are the final, like the book club questions that was on there.
Mhm.
Um, it's basically how can book clubs help writers? What's important to read? Why is it important to read like a reader before reading like a writer? And then how might you incorporate book clubs into your future teaching of writing? So for how can book clubs help writers? I said it can help because it also helps understand a book better when you're talking about it with someone else. Because sometimes, like you could have seen something else differently than how I could have seen it, or maybe I didn't understand, what it was saying or something like that. Um, and then for why is it important to read like a reader, before reading like a writer? And I said it's important to just read something first before you like analyze it more like critically so that you can actually like, know the emotions and like what the book's about. Because
Mhm.
sometimes I know when I have like an assignment, it's like, okay, like, read this chapter and answer these questions. It's like all I'm doing is looking for those
Yeah.
questions, the answer to those questions.
Yeah.
Or even like when teachers do the little, I don't know if you ever had, but like sometimes they would play a movie and it's
Mhm.
like they'd give us a paper and like the paper has these
Oh,
questions
forgot
to answer.
question.
Yeah, and
And
I'm
I
like
do
the
that
entire time I'm
so
like
much.
I'm just looking for the answers and I'm not even like looking for like, I'm not even watching it. Like half the time it'll be like I'm panicking over here like, oh my gosh, I didn't get like what this like, what number three was. And now I
I
think about it and I'm
that.
like, imagine the difference. It's like you just watch the movie one time and then, it's like even if you just watch it, you'll probably remember like those
Yeah.
questions. So I was like maybe something like that. And then for how might you incorporate book clubs in your future teaching? I said that book clubs can help students build stronger skills in writing by helping them learn how different people interpret different types of like
Yeah.
texts. And then it also helps them practice expressing their ideas. And then I said it also like builds like a community sense.
Yeah. I feel like being able to incorporate book clubs, I feel like it will also give the kids a higher chance, the ones that are more quiet,
Hmm.
to join like a social group.
Hmm.
Like and then they'll be able to discuss the books amongst each other. I don't know if you remember when in high school when you will walk around, I used to see the kids that like used to sit down on the floor and read their books.
Hmm.
And I feel like being able to create a book up like a classroom where they feel safe and they're able to discuss the books with other people that like to read, I feel like it will bring them more like for them to be more out there and more
Yeah.
outgoing.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like also being able to have a book of I feel like in my way, I feel like it helped me
Hmm.
read the story because usually when it's like a boring book, no me dan ganas
Yeah.
to read it. But when you have somebody else that's also reading the same book and you're able to like, oh yeah, what do you think about this or what? How do you feel about this? I feel like it's also like helping you with your social skills, but also with
Yeah.
your writing skills because it's
Hmm.
the same you're writing what you felt about the book and what you think about the book, but you're also like with Sin Pensar, you're actually also reading it.
Yeah.
For
No,
the kids
yeah.
that like to read, I feel like it helps them also to be like, because I don't like to read, but it helps them also to be like, having other students be like, okay, what do you think about this? Or
Hmm.
things like that, I feel like will help them out in the classroom.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Because even it's like I always like to say like I'm struggling, but at least like someone else is struggling with me, like right now with like finals like coming up, I'm like, okay, I'm getting stressed, but I know like other people are too. Like I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all for our book club. For our grant proposal, we just have those ending things. Do you want to just we can work on it and then if we want to have it done by like 5 and then we can like look at each other's?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do you want me to, I'll type on it and tú me enseñas cómo mandarlo? Because I feel like I don't send it correct. I feel like in my head,
We
I'm,
have the shared one. If you're on the shared one, we can see each other's like um each other's work. I'm on it right now. I'm pretty sure this one's shared with you. Yeah.
mhm.
And then if we're on
Okay.
this one, and then I'm gonna share my screen because I think
Hmm.
I can show you. Let me see, share. Um, okay, tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so something else you can do, like for example, like say we have like right here, say I didn't know like something here, you can highlight it and there's this little plus right here that says add
Uh-huh.
comment. And then you can like type in, like for me, I could put at and then my email. And then so like for you, or that's my
Uh-huh.
school email, that's my work email. Um, so at and then like my Fresno State email. So you would put that and then you could ask a question. So say like, does this make sense like that? And then click assign to you.
Hmm.
And then you go like that and then there'll be like a little question right here and then it'll give me a notification and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And then I can respond or I can check it off that it's like we completed it. So if you want to like do something like
Okay.
that too, but if not, if you're on the grant proposal right here, I'll be able to see it. So you can do
Okay.
activities just going off of what we have, and then I'll do these last two. And then we can like text and I'll like see if like, hey, does everything look good? And then we'll be ready to submit.
Okay. And then, okay, my other question, I know I'm going off
No, you're good.
topic, but you know how we had to turn in the, I think, like the log, the learning, I think it's the learning tracking and reflecting.